All right, we're back and we're going to be going into one of my favorite segments, camera settings. I absolutely love providing my clientele with a beautiful, crispy, clean camera setting picture. And you can do this when you work with mirrorless cameras. When you do have your starter MicroStudio kit, you're going to be getting the highest quality web camera on the market. Still a phenomenal picture, but there is something very beautiful about implementing a mirrorless camera. However, it does come with significantly more settings when you do invest in that. So when you are choosing what package you want to go with, just be mindful there is going to be additional trainings when you go with the mirrorless camera section. When you don't have the mirrorless camera section, there's an amazing opportunities and there's different strategies that you can start implementing that's going to give you a better picture without having to physically actually upgrade the equipment. So I want to dive into that right now when we actually go into the camera settings itself. So confirm your camera settings on your virtual event checklist. The very first thing that I want everybody to be mindful is accurately positioning your camera. This is the most frustrating parts about going into virtual meetings with other individuals because it's such a simple process to do. We want to have ourselves face to face with each other. There's no more down here, all the way up here. There's no more me looking down on you. Let's look level, face to face with each other. So in confirming your camera setting height, I have to emphasize this on the positioning of the camera. You want to ideally, best case scenario, be in a position like myself, if you're sitting down, to be able to have torso up showing. This is going to give you in your audience an opportunity to be able to implement your hands when you're starting to have a conversation. When you're in the virtual world, giving an opportunity to demonstrate where your hands are is going to take away any sort of suspicion that's happening. Subliminally in the mind, we're always going to be mindful and wondering where somebody's hands are if we're not able to see them. So putting and positioning your cameras to, if you are talking, you have an opportunity where you can show and demonstrate your hands. This is going to bring subliminally, again, ease back in with your clients so it's not looking for suspicious. And you need to start implementing proper camera positioning to be able to do so. The next thing that I really want to talk about is understanding exposure and contrast settings, color settings. We look at this picture right now and there's displaying that the web camera is on the laptop. We're getting away from that. I understand it's convenient, but there's no more putting the web camera on the laptop. And the reasoning for that is because when we go into these meetings, we put so much emphasis on having the camera straight, the camera aligned. But the minute we put it on our laptop, if we have to make an adjustment to our laptop screen, it's going to throw everything off. So let's get our cameras off of our laptop. So if we have to change the angle of the actual laptop, we don't have to worry about it affecting the cameras anymore. Being able to create an extremely dynamic picture. And you'll be getting this with your MicroStudio kit. Elgato has a software that we're going to be able to implement and put into your computer to be able to give you color and contrast settings. Most web cameras have this, but this allows you to have an opportunity to put more skin tone back into your skin, have colors pop more so you don't look so dull. And these are the two major things that I want to talk about camera settings just off the cusp of it. We'll talk more about it downstairs. But before we get into that, I want to show you the difference when it comes to actual color settings. So you can see here, I've configured color corrections and color coordinations on this camera you see here. So I'm going to do, this is without color correction, right? This is just plugging it in, and this is with color correction. See how drastic and how nice that is? And it's very, very subtle correction. So without color correction and with color correction. And that's something that I obviously want everybody to implement. And I will be bringing out digital educations and trainings of what we should be doing and implementing that. When you invest in your starter kit MicroStudio, you'll be able to get all this digital information and digital training so you can make these adjustments accordingly for yourself. Easy peasy. This is my favorite segment, but of course I want to keep it the most simple because it can be very difficult when going into that. So obviously, let's go to the coach's corner. We can talk about the quick segments with doing this. So confirming our camera settings, of course, the main thing when we're dealing with just the high-end web camera, this is just going to be software features that we're going to be able to implement via your computer. When you invest in the MicroStudio Advanced package, that's going to come with a mirrorless camera. There's settings that's going to have to be taken place with the camera itself to be able to put out a high caliber picture. When you invest in MicroStudio, there'll be digital trainings where you can do these configurations yourself. However, there is opportunity to have the camera pre-configured for you when it's sending. So the main thing takeaway with camera settings, positioning. Okay? No more on laptop. Please and thank you. Your MicroStudio is going to give you a kit where you can have your laptop. If you do have your web camera sitting on the actual monitor of your computer, you might not have to worry about this, but be mindful if you do make an adjustment with your monitor or your laptop screen, you're making an adjustment with your camera also. So we want to get away from that so you don't have to worry about anything. And then of course, understanding color correction. Color settings. And this is really important because when we're dealing with color settings in different lighting situations, okay? So if we're in a bright room, if we're in a situation where we can't handle or we can't manage the natural light, we're gonna wanna turn the brightness and the contrast down to be able to supplement that. But if we're in a studio where we're able to control the actual lighting, we can have a lot more wiggle room when it comes to that kind of stuff. So understanding camera positioning, understand our color settings is all I want to talk to you guys about when it comes to the actual camera settings. We're going to dive into it more downstairs at the kitchen table, but this is all we had to do to check off that virtual event checklist for camera settings. So let's all head over there because you all know how much I love to do this and how much this makes me happy. So everybody, make sure to grab your virtual event checklist, confirm your camera settings on there. There are going to be more digital trainings that are going to be released as we move on, talking about mirrorless cameras, how to pre-configure them, and this will be all available for you in the coming weeks and coming months. So there you have it. We're going to be talking about audio settings really quick, and of course lighting settings pretty quick, and then we're going to be shortly finishing up here on your virtual event checklist. So of course, without further ado, confirming your camera settings, done and done. That's the theory of it all, because the theory of the camera and creating a very dynamic picture is what's going to create the realism of a human being. This is how we're going to synchronize that face-to-face meeting feel in the virtual world, and that's having the best picture. So I appreciate that. Let's send you back downstairs. I know you're getting tired going up and going down, but exercise is important. Stay hydrated, stay informed, and ensure that you're taking notes using your show meeting notes. Again, if you do have any questions after this seminar, do not hesitate to reach out to me via LinkedIn or via email at info@garrinbulani.com. Thank you so much for tuning in to the theory of the camera settings and two major and very important things to be mindful of when you're configuring your camera settings. I appreciate you. We'll see you pretty quick here. Talk to you soon.